here comes an update for you guys. So the car is all back together. I ran it through its first oil change. All right, so we got the engine prepped and ready to start assembly. All the cylinders have been honed out. The bottom end is all clean. We're ready to pop the bearings in and get going. All right, so my audio got a little bit messed up here. Just gonna do a quick voiceover for this portion. So you'll see me there cleaning out the main stud threads, getting that ready for the main ARP stud installation. And next up, you'll see me going through and measuring out the top, middle, and lower section of each cylinder bore, and basically how you do this without getting into too much detail, since there's some great videos out on YouTube on how to do this. It's basically you're taking a measurement of the clearance between your piston and the cylinder wall. You want to have 0.003 thousandths maximum of a clearance between your piston, which is, usually a diameter, in this case, a 87.5 millimeter piston, to your cylinder wall. So it cannot exceed 0.003 thousandths of an inch. So next up, you saw me earlier on cleaning out the threads for each main stud. And now I'm going ahead and actually getting those main studs installed. Instructions say to use a little bit of thread lubricant. So you goop that up and then put the main studs in, and then slide your girdle piece over the top. And same thing goes for the nut on the top of the main girdle. So this part was actually kind of my favorite part. I'm polishing the crankshaft, getting that ready for installation. Essentially, I did a 3-step process. I started with 1500 grit sandpaper, basically cut a strip of a rag and then a strip of 1500 grit sandpaper, lubed it up with a little bit of PB, wrapped it around each journal, and as you can see, I kind of used the strip of rag as a sort of pulley, and went back and forth, until your arms get tired, essentially. And did that a couple thousand times on each journal, and then moved down the line for both the main and the rod journals. And essentially after that, followed up with just straight up metal polish on another clean rag, like microfiber cloth, right? So that's where the 3-step process comes in. Start with 1500 grit, work your way up to 2500, and then polish it out afterwards. As you can see, I already got the rings on these guys, all oiled up. Again, paying attention to the top of the ring itself. I want to make sure that that is, of course, on the top. Get it lined up with its galley. And it's in. All right, so here's the intake manifold. As you can tell, I have a stock intake manifold here. All the mounts for the VTCS system has been removed. The rod for the VTCS system has been removed. All the valves for this VTCS system has been removed. Essentially, the goal is to open up these ports via port matching. So what that entails is you place this factory gasket over your stock manifold mating surface, mark out where that gasket lines up. As you can see, I have a Sharpie outline around the edge. And then take a tool such as a carbide burr and hit each inner edge until it matches up with your black Sharpie line. So cylinder runners 1, 2, and 3 have already been done. As you can tell, in comparison to number 4, they're much bigger. I'd say by the factor of like 2 to 3 millimeters. Basically, the process is simple. Again, hit it with a carbide burr, open it up, and then, as you can tell on cylinder 1, that runner, I've already went and polished this one. So I took a 80 grit Dremel drum and went in and out, knocked down all the highs, quickly smooth everything out, and then worked my way up to 120 grit. And then after the fact, essentially hit it with a Brillo pad Dremel tool attachment. All right, we got the head back from the machine shop, and I've had them go through and set the valve lashing, replace the valve stem seals, or valve seals. I went ahead and ported and polished each intake runner, as well as exhaust. And they also went ahead and decked the head and lapped the valves. So we're gonna go ahead and slap this thing on to the block and see how far we can get. All right, check out the state of the engine. We got the high pressure fuel pump on, done. Coil packs are done, intake manifold done, oil filter and cooler done. Damon Motorsports PCV plate done. AC compressor done, belt done, timing done, brown oil valve cover done. I really like this color. This color is super root beer from Prismatic Powder Coat. I thought it would complement this black cherry mica paint very well. So in the sunlight, this pops. Can't wait to see it and take it out. Everything's torqued so far. So what I'm working on now is getting the exhaust manifold on. I just did a quick matching. Just matched the ports real quick. Put the studs in, and that's what we're gonna do next. So. Do not do this. I repeat, do not do this. There's a special service tool that you're supposed to use to install this rear main seal. Spec 2 Plus Flywheel. Just gonna start one of these and then just throw blue Loctite on every one of these guys. Everything back together. We got the PTO on, we got the transmission on, all the hardware is in place. Coolant hoses are routed, downpipes on, O2 sensors are in. This thing is not full of fluids at all. Got the accessories on, the rest of the accessories you can see. So yeah, we're gonna try to cram this on in here with everything assembled the way it is, and see what happens. So let's do it. Wow, check it out. This thing has been on jack stands for 4 months, and it's now sitting on its own 4 legs. You know how exciting of a moment this is? And not only that, how excited I am to even just bump start this thing. Not bump start, but bump the starter to get it to circulate and prime some oil. Okay, so I just heard the relay for the starter click. Nothing's happening. So I must have missed something hooking up that starter. So let's go check it out. All right, so turns out I pulled the wrong fuse. Actually, you don't want to pull a fuse at all. You want to pull the fuel pump relay instead. So I was pulling the fuel pump fuse. What you really want to do is pull the fuel pump relay. All right, guys, so we had a crank and no start condition, right? So wanted to show this to you guys in case you all are ever in this position one day. I found that I didn't set the TDC of the crank position sensor. So first off, I had the CPS in backwards, so it wasn't getting a signal. And I saw a check engine light pop up for that. So I read the codes and it said like voltage low, signal voltage low from CPS. So I was like, okay, tells me that there's something wrong with that. So the procedure for that is pretty straightforward. You just basically set it to TDC. So you get the hole in the bottom locked in using a spare 6mm bolt. Just get that threaded in there, then you're at TDC. Then from the top of the harmonic balancer there, you'll find a void or a gap in the teeth. So follow that gap and then count down from the top left down to where the CPS is, 20 teeth. And then you take the CPS and you align it in between the 20th and the 21st tooth on the harmonic balancer. So that's the procedure for that. I just did that. We're gonna see if this thing starts now. Crossing my fingers that was it. What the heck? I thought I would just fire it up, but okay. Sounds like something's wrong. So the car is all back together. I ran it through its first oil change, and I'll show you the pictures of that. Everything looks okay. I saw a little bit of glitter in the
in the first oil change after about 30 miles, and you know, making sure I got no leaks in the system. So I drained it, and everything looked fine. I didn't see big metal chunks, etc., etc. I'm waiting now to do the second oil change at about 100 to 150 miles. So that's the next oil change that I'm going to do, just to see how the glitter is progressing. But other than that, drivability wise, this thing has been great. It gets into boost. I haven't really done a full, obviously a wide open pull, because it's still in the braking period. I'm gonna wait till after about 500 miles to be doing that kind of stuff. But essentially, yeah, it's running, it's driving, it's back together. There's no leaks, actually. Let's save that for later. Gonna stop talking about leaks for right now. So drivability wise, this thing feels great. It needs new brakes. All the fluids have been flushed on it, minus the brake fluids and the rear differential. So those two, before I get this thing 100% back on the road, that's the plan. I want to get those flushed out next. But other than that, again, drives great. So let's get on to the bad news. So we got some bad news. Unfortunately, the rear main seal is leaking. I did not know this. I was not made aware of this due to lack of research, that there is a special service tool that you're supposed to use to install the rear main seal. I did not use that. So I believe what happened is the oil seal that seals around the crankshaft is, instead of facing this way, it's facing this way because of the lack of initially using that installation tool. So in order to get to that rear main seal, this engine has to come out. So yeah, looks like there's nothing left to it but to just do it, because I don't see any other option at this point. It sucks. I just got this thing back in, it fired up, it ran, it drove, sounds great, pulls great for the very little throttle that I put into it. I can't wait to get it back on the road. I'm itching, I'm dying to drive this thing, you know, as a daily driver. But can't do that until I get this oil leak fixed, because if you don't fix a rear main seal leak right away and you continue to drive on that, you will wipe out your clutch. So my plan is, whatever oil did get on that clutch, brand new clutch, spec clutch, stage 2 plus, with a brand new stage 2 plus flywheel, I want to completely douse it in brake cleaner. I want to clean the heck out of it. I mean, I didn't notice it slipping when I was taking it on these test drives, so I don't think the clutch has been compromised, but when I get it out, I'll be able to tell. The other thing that needs to be rectified is this turret shaft. I think they call it a turret seal, something like that. This seal that lives right underneath this boot here is leaking. So when I have everything out, I'm gonna dissect that and get that seal out of there, and order up a replacement, slide it back in, call that a success. So she's running. It's been going pretty good. Just trying to charge AC, see if I can get it to hold a charge, but that thing's not working for me.